This is Zbigniew Brzezinski. And he was National Security Advisor to Jimmy Carter, okay? Who was President of the United States. And he's a founder of something called the Trilateral Commission, which basically tries to implement American grand strategy in the world. And this was funded by David Rockefeller, who obviously was one of the wealthiest, most powerful Americans to ever live. So this is a very powerful individual. And we're going to read certain writings from his book, Between Two Ages. And when we read it, you'll see how similar it is to Albert Pike. Now, I don't think that Zbigniew Brzezinski read Albert Pike, and he himself is probably not a Freemason. But again, you don't have to read Albert Pike. You don't have to be a Freemason to think like them. These are all people obsessed with power, control, and order. And they're going to look for elements of different religions in order to justify their pursuit of power, order, and control, okay? So this is from the book Between Two Ages. Can you read, Alan?
The emergence of a large dominant party alongside the more narrowly focuses and more intensively doctrinal groupings on the right and the left could accelerate the trend towards such technological managerialism. Such a large dominant party would combine American society's quest for stability with its historical affinity for innovation, relying on scientific growth to produce the means for dealing with social ills. It would tap the nation's intellectual talent for broad target planning and exploit the existence of doctrinal groups by using them as social barometers and as sources of novel ideas. Persisting social crisis, the emergence of a charismatic personality, and the exploitations of mass media to obtain public confidence would be the stepping stones in the piecemeal transformations of the United States into a highly controlled society. In different ways, both the doctrinarian and the conservative might find the temptations inherent in the new techniques of social control too difficult to resist. The inclinations of the doctrinal left to legitimize means by ends could lead them to justify more social control on the ground that it serves progress. The conservatives preoccupied with public order and fascinated by modern gadgetry would be tempted to use a new technique as a response to unrest, since they would fail to recognize that social control is not the only way to deal with rapid social change.
So this book is written about 1970s, okay? This is like 40, 50 years ago. What's amazing about this paragraph is that it perfectly describes America today. This is not just a prophecy, it's almost like a plan, okay? So let me explain what he's saying. He's saying that democracy is problematic. Why? Because it always leads to polarization. You're always going to have different factions within this democracy who are going to fight each other. Eventually, you're going to reach a point where they actually refuse to get along. That's what's happening in America today between the left and the right, between the Democrats and the Republicans, okay? And he's saying this is going to create a series of crises, social crisis. And the solution, he believes, is a technocracy, all right? So basically, a bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. run by engineers who use artificial intelligence, who use data and statistics in order to better govern society, and who are better able to use this social polarization in order to better manage society, okay? And this is a really, really interesting sentence. Persisting social crises, okay? So what's happening in America right now is the divide between the left and right. The emergence of a charismatic personality. Who's that person? Charismatic personality? Donald Trump, guys! And the exploitation of mass media, okay? So just basically social media in order to indoctrinate and brainwash you. To obtain public confidence would be the stepping stones in the piecemeal transformation of the United States into a highly controlled society, a AI surveillance state. So what he's saying is this. Eventually, you reach a point where the divide will be so vast, the economy will be in such trouble, the people will be so angry that they will demand a Napoleon or Julius Caesar to arise to lead them into a dictatorship. And this could be a good thing because this could create a technocracy which would be better able to govern society, okay? All right? So this is a continuation of the Freemason project of trying to create order out of chaos. All right? And what he's saying is this. It will be the conservatives, the Republicans, who will win out in the Civil War because they're the ones who are preoccupied with public order and gadgetry, okay? They are the ones who will want the AI surveillance state. Okay? Once you have the AI surveillance state, you now have the technocracy. And the world will be perfect. All right? Does it make sense to you guys, what he's saying here? This is an amazing paragraph written 40, 50 years ago. So I'm not saying he's a Freemason. I'm not saying he's part of secret society, but he sure thinks like a Freemason. All right, let's continue. All right, can you continue?
Yeah. It was a frontier tradition that stirred the American imagination, created a society of movement and growth, and gave American its integrative myth. Scientific explorations, including exploration of space, has become the functional equivalent of Americans' frontier tradition, and such endeavor is immediately relevant to the educational and scientific attainment of the country.
Okay, stop. Okay, can you just read the last paragraph? To many Americans.
To many Americans, contemporary liberalism offers neither principles nor progress. The crisis of American liberalism is hence both a crisis of confidence and of historical relevance.
Okay, so what he's saying here is that democracy was a historical accident. It was good for America before, but in the future, liberalism will probably be a bad thing, okay, because it's too divisive. Okay? So what's the solution then? Well, this is the solution. Can you read, please?
Yeah. That is why...
Can you read slower, please, Alan, okay? You don't have to rush.
Yeah.
Okay, just read slower. Keep on going.
That is why Marxism represents a further virtual and creative stage in the maturing of man's universal vision. Marxism is simultaneously a victory of the external, active man over the inner, passive man, and a victory of reason over belief. It stresses man's capacity to shape his material destiny. Finite.
Okay, stop. Okay, all right. So this is an amazing passage, okay? This is the guy who was National Security Advisor to Jimmy Carter. At this time, this is the height of the Cold War. America is fighting a war with the Soviet Union. And the National Security Advisor of the United States to Jimmy Carter says that democracy is bad, Marxism is good. Okay? Marxism is good. Why? Because it is the endpoint of history. The French Revolution was about promoting reason over emotion. Marxism is a natural progression of the French Revolution. Marxism is what promises a victory of reason over emotion. Okay? So what is the AI surveillance state? Ultimately, it is techno-Marxism. Okay? That's what they want. They want communism. National Security Advisor to Jimmy Carter, one of the most powerful Americans in the world, want Marxism. Why? Because Marxism, communism, is the implementation of the ideas of Freemasonry in our world. All right? Okay. Is this clear, guys?